Newbee's turn to ban.
Alright everybody, welcome back! It's Newbee versus Vici Gaming Potential here for the Epicenter Moscow China Qualifier. I'm Vici and I'm excited to be bringing you game 2. Newbee are currently up 1-0 in this best of 3 series, so Vici Gaming Potential gonna have to win this one to avoid being sent down to the lower bracket, but as I said, there is a lower bracket. It is double elimination. If they fall here, they will still have another opportunity to climb their way back up and try and claim that coveted single spot to make it to the main event for this competition. And again, there's only one spot. The winner of this qualifier goes. Everybody else stays home. And that's all there really is on the line. So very, very important, I think, especially for Newbee. They've got quite a bit to prove after from their perspective, and I think for a lot of fans' perspective, underwhelming performance at Kiev. So we'll see if they can. Well, I think they're the favorites to take this qualifier, but we'll see. I think there are some teams in here who could give them a little bit of a run for their money. So we've got the tree, and we've got Monkey King banned out, as Newbee will once again go for this first pick Legion, by far their most popular hero of the patch right now. We've got Magnus and Nyx Assassin removed. Interesting to see that Nyx Assassin ban coming back again for game 2 from Vici Gaming Potential, really not wanting to let Kaka get his hands on the Nyx. So VG.P, what's the plan here? Crystal Maiden, Ursa, Newbee, are they going to take the Silencer again? This is looking pretty good in all honesty. Silencer or Warlock could also be pretty solid. If they want the Sand King, they might have to take it now, but then there's still other heroes that can kind of fit that role in terms of their lineups. So I don't think it's that important that they take it right this second. Newbee are also a team that don't mind going for double core openings either, which is a little bit unusual. But I think we've seen them open like Legion Jug, that kind of thing. It seems like they've moved away from the Juggernaut a little bit, though in this series that's probably very much to do with the fact that VG.P are picking this Ursa as heavily as they are, and Ursa is very, very good against Juggernaut in general. So, alright. It was a winning formula last game, so they're just going to grab themselves the Silencer once again here. They haven't really picked up those kiting tools against the Ursa that they had in the previous game, so that's something that VG.P will probably be looking to ban out, and then Newbee will have to try and find some kind of adaptation in terms of how they're going to deal with the Ursa here. But despite the fact that I feel like their lineup is pretty good against the Jug, it looks like they just do not want to play against it, so they're going to stick to their guns. But, I mean, if the draft continues in the way that it is, then Newbee won the previous game. I think they were pretty confident. I think it's really, the onus is really on VG.P to try and mix things up a little bit here. It could also be that they're feeling really tied to the prep that they did coming into this series, and so they're like, oh, well, we got the draft that we wanted, and we got the kind of overall strategy that we wanted against Newbee, and maybe it was Newbee that adapted and caught us off guard. Like I said, Spectre has not been a hero that Newbee have been picking a whole lot of before now. So it'll be really interesting to follow Newbee over the course of this qualifier and see if Spectre is something that they look to incorporate more and more into their drafts. And one more point that I didn't really bring up in the previous game, but I think is important to think about is, you know, Newbee left the Templar Assassin through all the way to the point where Vici Gaming could pick it with their last pick, the second to last pick overall. And I think they very knowingly did that. I think Faith is saying, okay, we'll dangle the TA there. We all know it's a good hero, but we have an inkling of a plan against it. So then it becomes VG.P's decision to say, okay, do we want this hero that's very, very strong, and even if they pick counters, is it still going to flourish because it's just a very strong hero, or are these counters going to be enough to really shut it down? As we saw in the previous game, I don't even think it was so much the fact that TA did poorly in the lane because she caught back up later on. It was the fact that the Veno and the TA, the Veno and the Sand King and whatnot really just kited her around in fights and prevented her from bursting anybody down. So it was more of a play and an overall strategy thing from Newbee than it was about about an individual lane. And I think it's kind of similar. The question comes back as well to a conversation that you can have about a hero like Sven at the major. I feel like we saw some Sven picks, and when you looked at it just in the context of the draft, it was like, oh, this is an amazing Sven game. You're against like a Death Prophet or a lineup with only physical damage or something like that, and like Warcry is the most broken spell in the situation. And then it just turns out that Sven is kind of a mediocre hero overall. So even if he has this one ability that's amazing in the context, his overall power level is relatively low, and it kind of goes the opposite direction as well. You have a hero like TA, who at the moment I think a lot of people would place very, very high in terms of an overall power ranking, and even if you're playing against counters, that very high power level can still pull you through, you know, even in a situation where maybe on paper it seems like you shouldn't be able to get that much done. So Dota's interesting in that way. Anyway, Newbee going to be getting rid of some offlaners here. They get rid of Centaur, they get rid of Tide. They pick up Twich. Alright, I like this. I mean, a lot of the other position 4 roaming heroes have already been banned because Newbee banned 2 of them themselves, with the Monkey King and the Train Protector, and then Nyx Assassin got removed, and Earth Spirit got banned, and Vici picked up the Riki themselves. So there was still a Sand King, but I don't really know if Newbee wanted to play Sand King that much against the CM and the Riki. And I think the Pudge is actually very, very good against Riki. If you've got the right positioning, if you're in the right place, right time, you can potentially hook your teammates out of the smoke screen, and that's very, very valuable. So I like the Pudge pickup here. I feel like they've also kind of set themselves up somewhat against the potential TA pick if it does end up happening again from VG.P. So I guess Newbee are trying to figure out their anti-TA strategies a little bit. That hero might get nerfed in whatever upcoming patch we have. You know, there'll probably be a couple before TI with all the lands that we have coming up back to back to back to back to back. But the Silencer Pudge definitely very good at potentially running over to the mid lane, getting kills on the TA early. And I think Pudge, you know, very important to consider how crushing Dismember can be against heroes like Ursa and TA, who really just want to sit there and right-click in fights. They do have a couple of ways to cancel it so far, so you know, it's not the end of the world, but looking like a pretty good hero, as VG.P will take the Sand King that we were just talking about as their offlane. So what, position 4 Riki, position 3 Sand King, going to be leaving their mid all the way until last pick. It is actually their last pick this time around, so we swap things around a little bit. Newbee now finding themselves in the Dire, VG.P Radiant with last pick. And Newbee, I would guess that they're probably going to be leaving their mid until their final pick as well, unless there's something that's particularly amazing here. It's not a great Invoker game necessarily. It's not an amazing not an amazing Tinker game. I mean, they could take the TA for themselves. I don't think that would be bad at all. And then they have one ban to set it up, or they could take their safe laner and then pick the TA here. But I don't know if it'll make it through. We'll see. What else does SCCC play?
Sven stands ready.
Oh, all right. Newbee are going to take the Sven. Interesting. I was just talking about that hero and just saying how I feel like he's not necessarily all that strong right now, but Newbee think otherwise. I think they were actually one of the teams that were picking Sven at Kiev. It's not awful. I mean, it's not awful against the Sand King, but it's not amazing either. You can push the wave relatively fast, which makes it a little bit more difficult for Sand King to approach and do his Caustic Finale shenanigans, but that only kicks in a little ways into the lane. It does give them a very important setup stun that they very much need for their Silencer and their Pudge to be able to get in and do things, but alright, the Invoker is going to get banned out. Show a little bit of respect to SCCC on that one. It is very good with the Legion Commander, and I think Sven Invoker is a combo that people have been talking about going back to... When was that post made? I'm trying to remember. Somebody put together a really nice post on Medium. I think it was about how NP, was it NP at the time? We're picking this Sven Invoker and making space and roaming for one another. Of course, that was a previous Sven patch where Sven was actually good, and you know, Dominator still gave lifesteal and Ancient spawned every minute, so this is pre 7.0, but
10 seconds
still I think still there's still some remnants of that. So Invoker gets banned. Shadow Fiend is going to be the pick. You would look at this from VG.P and you'd say that, oh, well, they've got a Riki and a Sand King to roam on him. But fortunately, Sand King can just kind of spam the wave and go and retreat into the jungle. So that's good news. They have a ton of physical damage here, which is very, very nice. Also nice to pick up a... Or, well, they banned the TA, but...
5 seconds
I was about to say, nice to pick up a potential Manta hero against a potential Templar Assassin pick, but they're not going to give it to him this time. So for VG.P... Do you guys pick Tinker? If they pick Tinker, they can't push buildings, really. The Ursa's going to have to go like Vlad's Dessa for them to hit buildings at all. And pushing is always going to be tough into Overwhelming Odds, into Pudge Hook, into the Shadow Fiend spam. So if they pick the Tinker, I think they're putting themselves in a somewhat difficult position, but Newbee have 3 right-clickers. So the Aghanim's Laser could be brutal. Of course, they can all buy BKBs, and Legion already has a built-in Dispel in the Press the Attack, but could be a decent pick. Depends on their confidence in their mid player. Other picks here.
Sniper.
All right. Sniper gives them some more tower push. I think also pretty good against these Newbee heroes. They have not that much of a front line to protect him, unfortunately. So if Sven and Legion Commander come knocking, and then a Global Silence gets popped, I don't know how the Sniper gets out of that. So his positioning is going to be very important, but it is a decent matchup against the Shadow Fiend. The Shrapnel spam should be annoying for the Sven and the Legion Commander in terms of their blinks and just getting kited around in general. So yeah, I don't mind the Sniper pick that much. What else is going on in this game? Newbee, decent Roshan potential. I was about to say they are on the dire side, but I think the Radiant actually have easier control over Roche with the current map layout, given that they've got 2 fairly good ways to approach the Roshan pit from their shrine and from the other high ground, whereas the Dire only have 1 really good way to approach, which is from their shrine. Of course, they have the slightly closer high ground, so there's that. That's good, but you can see it from the opposite high ground, so pros and cons. Much more balanced location for the Roshan pit than we've probably ever had. And just waiting on everybody to pick up their heroes so we can get ourselves into this game, because I'm keen to see if Newbee can take this 2-0, which I think if you were a betting man, that would probably be what you were anticipating from this series. But VG.P, I think they played pretty well last game. Do I like their lineup more or less this game? I think their lineup previous game was a little bit stronger, but Newbee's lineup was maybe a bit more tailored to deal with it. So I guess we'll have to see. Let's get in here, see some TPs out. There's always action happening early in these games. Make sure I switch the overlays. I've been forgetting to do that recently. All right, Ricky did remember to skill up his Cloak and Dagger. I've seen people run out of it. Like, you buy everything, you TP, you run out, and then you realize, oh, I didn't actually skill Cloak and Dagger, which is pretty awkward. Legion with some boots trying to get out here pretty quickly with the Sentry Ward. Just choosing to block out this big camp over here, but that was scouted, so Ricky should be able to deal with that pretty quickly if he wants to. It's probably not a huge deal. It is annoying for the Crystal Maiden to not have access to this big camp to immediately Frostbite and get her lane off to a good start, so yeah, looks like they are just gonna deward that pretty much instantly. 4-man smoke from Newbee. Looking to contest this rune, perhaps.
30 seconds to battle.
3 gonna head up towards this high ground. They don't spot anybody on this ward, so not gonna go for anything just yet. Sniper is waiting over on the opposite high ground to try and scout anything out, but they are well and truly setting up for the Sniper right now. VG.P making a pretty similar play here. Gonna try and pressure SCCC away from this bounty rune. Let's see, when will they come into vision? Crystal Maiden still hugging the fog right now, pops out. SCCC just gonna cede control of the bounty, however, and looks like VG.P might actually be able to grab 3 for themselves. Yep, this one's still over here, so someone will be able to pick that up on the way back. Probably Ricky, I would have to guess, or maybe the Crystal Maiden. We'll see. Ricky might have some plans to continue the harassment here on the mid lane. given that Shadowfiend's not going to have his salve for a little bit.
This'll come in
Might
handy.
even be able to get into position to snipe the courier, knowing that the salve is going to be coming after he gets like 2 CS. And you can just watch his Necromaster to see if he actually gets them. Anyway. Does see that the Shadowfiend has a sentry ward right now, so going to try and force that out quickly and then hope to get rid of it. Whoever plants the sentry first is more likely to get theirs dewarded, so if you can force that out, that would be nice. Oh. Alright, Sand King playing a dangerous game here, just looping around in the trees. Has managed to grab a little bit of experience, but Newbee doing a very good job of getting their safe lane immediately under control. The same could also be said for VG.P here. Looks like they've managed to do pretty nicely for themselves. Frostbite going to be attempted. KP, he's fast, but he doesn't have a poor man shield. A couple more auto attacks would do him in, but he survives on 18 hit points. We'll be able to go and shrine up. Doesn't have an Iron Talon or anything to fall back into the jungle, so he's going to be forced to continue pressuring the lane. That will keep the Crystal Maiden a little bit closer by and slow down her jungle farming a little bit, but I don't think it'll really be worth it if he ends up losing his life. Alright, well, as we saw, SCCC forced to put down his sentry, which means Fade's going to come in, gets rid of that pretty quickly. Fortunately for the Newbee side, this sentry ward is just out of range of the Observer, I believe. So SCCC is still going to have the information here, but his salve has already been forced out. He does at least have his shrine, but he's only got 1 CS, which is not fun. Shadowfiend, similar to TA, is a hero that can catch back up if given the opportunity to go and run around in the jungle, so I'm not crazy concerned for SCCC right now, but obviously this is not the start that he wanted to get off to. Though it looks like Kaka is going to be coming over here on the Pudge to try and turn things around a little bit. And he's just going to run up. Sniper's not that fast. Is he going to go for the hook? Hook a little bit off the mark, unfortunately. Alright, KP forces out the Shrine from AO. That haste rune coming in pretty value. Oh. Pudge in a bit of trouble. Blink forward. They want this kill. Nope, there's the deny. And can SCCC pick up the first blood here instead? Nope, he was focusing on the sniper instead of the Riki, and that means Ricky's just going to be able to run himself around. I think if he'd started raising the Riki, maybe he would have got that, which would have been pretty sweet. Did manage to get some nice CS under the towers, so starting to build up his Necromaster a little bit, which is always good. We'll be going for some boots before the bottle, but does have his shrine, so he's not completely starved from mana right now. Ghost looks like once again he's going to be left alone for the most part in his safe lane, but if you look at the CS chart, this Sven is killing it. U9, 20 and 14. The Sand King is still getting some levels, but at least those denies helping to keep the situation a little bit under control. Unfortunately, the Pudge heading over towards mid took some pressure away from the Sand King, so he was able to play up a little bit more and get a bit more done there. Alright, Fade comes in, just gonna eat this sentry again. There's another sentry waiting over here. Dire really trying to keep SCCC at least a little bit safe. And Fade is going to try for the 4-minute bounty rune snipe. Looks like he'll get it. There is a dust on the Pudge. If he sees this rune disappear, he might dust and then try for a hook, but the silencer's a little bit far away, and nicely played by VG.P, preempting this. Are actually going to be able to get the blink strike away. And hook once again a bit off the mark. Oh. Alright, Fade's about to run up into this sentry. Kaka playing dumb. Sansa also in the neighborhood. Alright, back in the sentry. Continue playing dumb, and now go for him. These hooks are not landing, but it looks like this should be a kill anyway, and that will be a first blood for SCCC. Gonna top off those souls. And that will be his bottle pretty much. So all of that hard work that the Riki put in, the sentry kills, the harassment, all that just kind of gets wiped away in the blink of an eye as Shadowfiend is now going to have his bottle, and he's going to be more than ready in 1 level's time, or like a third of a level's time, to just start spamming his way through the jungle, so he's not really that concerned. Unfortunately for him, KP is actually over in that jungle right now, so they've got... He's going to have to fight his teammates a little bit for some of the farm, but KP can head over to this side, or SF can head over here. And that would be a good opportunity for them to give some levels to the Pudge or the Silencer over on the mid lane, so probably expecting that before too long. Ghost, once again, having a pretty chill lane. Queues up the Vlads. He did this last game as well, but didn't end up buying it. Just got a Morbid Mask and a Blink Dagger. But I think the Vlad's Deso build is definitely the way to go this game. I was talking about that build in the context of only having the Ursa to push towers when I was speculating on like the Tinker pickup, but I think it's still pretty good even with the sniper to help you out a little bit when it comes to sieging. Alright, well, Legion wants Blink, but this is gonna take a little while.
Radiant's top tower.
KP might go for an earlier rotation. He's got a raindrop and a wand picked up, so maybe level 6, smoke. Look for something. Lanes are a little bit difficult to gank with only the Sven stun for setup. Legion just gonna get chased down here by Ghosts. Couple more hits. He's got the Orb of Venom. KP's pretty fast. Can they finish this kill off? One more touch is gonna do it. A little bit of ring around the Rosie to waste some time before he goes down. Did not see Ghost slipping away from bottom. And will be brought down in the end. S-Triple-C in some big trouble mid lane. Just gonna get peeped. Sniper finishes him off. Crystal Maiden rotating in there, but I don't even know if she did anything. Still has full mana, so looks like maybe even no spells cast. Just Sniper running him down with the level 3 Shrapnel. Did manage to save the DD, so it's kind of helpful, but not that there's really a fight to go and use it in immediately. And Sven, what's the build going to be this game? I'm interested to see. Alright, so Mask of Madness. Looks like we might be seeing the kind of Mask of Madness S&Y build that we were seeing at Kiev. I feel like Echo Saber is not so amazing these days on Sven. The Dominator is definitely pretty underwhelming. Oh, much trying for the TP out, but we get frostbitten and will be brought down. These VG.P supports are everywhere on the map right now, and we're starting to see some of the problems with Newbee's lineup in terms of their support duo. The Pudge and the Silencer just can't really do too much right now. I think that's, again, part of why they picked the Sven, so that they could at least have some laning pressure with the stun to set up and let the Pudge get in range to do his job. But Sven's jungling now, so they've got two very vulnerable supports without really that many ways to defend themselves. You look at Faith right now, and they're just diving him. Burst Strike is going to come in. Sven looking for the turnaround. A couple more auto attacks will finish it. The stun does end up finding both. Fade will get silenced. It will be brought down. SRF also in pretty deep, but finds a little hidey hole and will be able to TP himself out. So it ends up being a 1-for-1, but that's with multiple TPs forced towards the top lane. And that means that Ghost should feel extremely confident to just do whatever the hell he wants down on this bottom side of the map. Yeah, there's really nobody who can come over and do anything, but it looks like KP, because the jungle is clear, he can actually head over and try and make something happen. Hook not going to connect on the Shadow Fiend in the mid lane. He turns around, they've got the heal, but they'll still end up dropping DXM, trying to get out of range of the duel, but will get dueled up. Pudge closing the gap. Looks like it will not be a duel win, but it's still a kill, and Newbee going to be pretty happy with that as they do turn it into a 2-for-2 on the mid lane. I think smart play by VG.P, thinking to themselves, alright, we just forced a bunch of TPs top. We're probably safe to go for mid, but KP and Kaka just making a beeline straight to mid lane after the action up on the top side. Oh. Alright, got some stacks up. 4 points in the Great Cleave for the Sven. So a nice bit of farm coming in for him. Fade lurking around, does get a little bit of mysterious experience, so kind of knows what's going on, but he's only getting a quarter of it. There's 3 newbie heroes in the neighborhood, so not a huge deal. Ursa is just going to be going for the Blink Dagger rush, so Ghost, I mean, they countered him so nicely, or they predicted him so nicely in the previous game whenever he went for Roche, so I think it makes sense to just go for the better ganking item. Twich. Alright, might be able to get out of the cloud and deny himself. We'll see. Nice war cry. Actually, looks like Kaka might just be okay. He's going to go for the deny anyway, as AO is now here as well. SRF with another burst strike in just a second. Fade still auto-attacking in. Sven's pretty tanky. Legion Commander comes in, finishes off the Riki very quickly. Now they turn around. They've got the Mango. They've got one more stun. Nice Frostbite. SRF, he's got the stick charges. He's got the Burrow. He's got the kill. The duel is available for KP, but with Sniper now up here, There is no way that he can go for that one, and it will just end up being yet another kill for VG.P. This is more hook misses for the Pudge. Does Sniper have any shrapnel charges yet? Left? No. He does not, so won't be able to chase down that kill. This is some space for SCCC, but losing 3 heroes, well, 1 deny, 2 cores dead for just the Riki support. I think VG.P will take that trade any day of the week. And Ghost now like 2 CS away from his blink. Silencer running forward down bottom. The blink gets immediately picked up, and Ghost will just chop off Faith's head. No problem whatsoever. That was like shift Q through, just get in range of the shop, hit your quick buy hotkey. Oh, SRF in trouble, has been dusted. 1 more hit's gonna do it. E9 finishing him off. He is going for that S&Y. As mentioned, this just kind of seems to be the preferred build for Sven at the moment, but with Shadow Fiend ganking top, Sniper with a double damage is gonna lay waste to this tier 1 tower on mid. Faith maybe hoping for the deny here, a couple more hits. There is a glyph available, but creep wave has already been cleared, and there's also an Ursa making his way over to punish anyone who tries to stop his snipers. So tier 1 dead. Riki does end up falling down bottom. Legion just getting a random duel and killing him off. Ghost gonna chop the Pudge on mid. And some very deep Radiant Vision at the moment. Should very nicely set them up to come and push this top tier 1. Oh, a little bit of lag. Come on, Perfect World. I believe in you. Oh, with that duel win, Legion actually has Blink. KP was not that close before, and he just died up top, but still going to pick it up at a pretty decent time. I don't want to reconnect because we're just about to have a Blink smoke duel. Some kind of a gank happening. And looks like maybe the lag has worked itself out. Alright, nice. 4-man smoke. Sven just going to continue hitting some creeps because that's his job. And they're making their way around. Are they just going to take the Crystal Maiden kill here? Looks like they will. Jump in duel. Frostbite on the Pudge. But still going to get his little bit of gold there. KP in some trouble. There is an Assassinate, but it is not nearly enough damage to finish him off. Only level 1. DXM has just gone for the Dragon Lance, maxing out the take aim, so very, very safe build from him. Sometimes you see people, if you go for the Dragon Lance first, you can kind of make the argument that you can go for a few more points in headshot to beef up your damage that little bit more, but he wants to be as far away from the Sven and the Legion Commander as he possibly can, so I don't mind this decision. Nope. U9 could be in somewhat big trouble here, but Ghost unfortunately unable to run past this little section. I don't actually know if there is vision in there for the die. Oh, there's just a little bit of vision. So smart from him, but just unfortunate positioning of the creep wave. Hook attempted, but SRF's going to be just fine. And surviving that gank, looks like he is going to be able to grab his blink. So got blink on the Sand King to kind of match the blink dagger on the Legion Commander. In terms of an overall lead, it is still Radiant favored at the moment, but that's mostly because they've taken almost 3 towers to Newbee's 0. So if Newbee start winning some fights, they should be able to turn things around, but Shadow Fiend's still kind of struggling in terms of the overall farm. I thought he was going to get more out of the jungle, but this is the... I guess the one thing that I haven't talked about this game, and the thing that I'm only just thinking about now, is that everybody on Newbee wants jungle farm so badly. Like, fortunately, Sven can kind of supplement his farm with Ancients, but all 3 of their cores, just by virtue of being the right-clickers that they are, they need lots of items to scale, but to do that, they all need a lot of access to the jungle. So the Riki and the warding and the lack of map control right now is... They're kind of all stacked on top of each other trying to find the same farm, which is kind of... It's hurting them quite a bit. Sven at least is, you know, still continuing to grow, but I think the Shadow Fiend is the big concern right now. 14 minutes and only just barely picking up his Dragon Lance. Pudge is just going for an urn. Do we have any other interesting item pickups? We've got a Solar Crest for the Ursa. Alright, I think that's a decent decision. The smoke will get immediately popped. Blink in, Burrow onto 2. Both of the supports in some trouble. Will Silencer be able to get the global off? He now has the option. Silencer running in perhaps a little bit too close. Global Silence comes in. There's the duel. That's 2 kills. I don't know what Sniper was doing, but he got way too close to that fight. I mean, he didn't even get hooked that far. He was like standing here and just got hooked up onto the high ground and got finished off. Maybe he wanted the 2 supports in the smoke screen or something like that, but
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
very easy sniper pick off. Very valuable kill. They're gonna go in for the Roche, but I mean, Newbee aren't even thinking about it. They're just healing up. That is a really bad read from VG.P. How do they think that Newbee can go for the Roche on there? I mean, they hit hard, they do, but Sniper only has like a 20-second respawn or so. So Sniper respawns, he TPs into the shrine, he shrapnels the pit, and Roshan's definitely not dead yet. And Newbee can only lose that fight. I think fortunately for them, they didn't show that they wasted the Epicenter, but jump in duel. Are they going to be able to get the hook in here? No. Alright, so they won't be able to get the duel victory, but they will still be able to grab that kill. Oh. Meanwhile, mid, Silencer getting chased down. Fade will be able to get a nice little D-ward here. Alright, I don't think anything's going to happen, so I'm just going to try for a quick reconnect and see if that helps with the server stability. Give me a second here, friends. Alright. Similar story to game 1. Newbee have a rough early game, but just looks like they're going to start bringing it back with some smart map rotations and just, I think, better overall decision making. Sven's getting big. He's got his S&Y. Blink BKB coming up after that. Nice 225 mana talent to keep those stuns pumping out. Silencer taking the dangerous farm right now, is just going to be picking up wards. He's by far the poorest hero in the game, so not too much that he can do. The rookie is starting to fall off a little bit. I was expecting after the early game from Fade that he was actually going to get quite a lot done, but Newbee just kind of turtling up, making it much more difficult for the Ricky-led ganks to make anything happen. KP just pressuring up top. I mean, if nobody comes to stop KP, then this attempted gank is fairly obvious, but maybe they can find something. Like this creep wave is completely giving away their gank right now. The fact that nobody is farming this is insanely suspicious. They are showing the Ursa bottom to try and make this seem less insane, but I mean, look at Newbee's positioning. They're like, what are you clowns doing? How is nobody defending top? We know that your sniper's in a smoke right now. Alright, so they will show the sniper in the end. As they continue making their way in towards mid, but yeah, Sven very happily takes that top tier 1 for free. Not the best lane position for VG.P as they went for that. Ursa is just running around right now with a haste, holding on to his TP scroll, ready to join his team if he's needed. Fade manages to make his way in pretty deep behind enemy lines. Needs to be careful of this sentry, but Sven farming, rest of the team splitting farm. I mean, you don't really love seeing 2 cores like this in the same lane, but that's just kind of the position that they're in on the map. However, net worth moving in a Newbee direction. Experience 6k the advantage right now. If VG.P's lineup isn't fighting, they're kind of falling behind, and that's a lot of the nature of an Ursa lineup. It looks like they just don't feel confident enough to try and force something. If they wanted to force something, they could try and take Roche. They really could, but unfortunately for them, Newbee's lineup is actually pretty good at defending the Roshan, especially with the Pudge fishing for hooks non-stop. So I guess that's a big reason why they're not feeling confident to just waltz in there and take it. I mean, they've got Solar Crest. This Ursa eats up Roshan in like 15 seconds, but I think the previous game is still in the back of their minds. They're like, well, every time we went for Roshan in the previous game, it failed, and we lost the game pretty much just because we went for bad Roshans. But now they're doubting themselves, and they think every Roshan is a bad Roshan. They're going to jump in, they look for Fade, he doesn't manage to get his ultimate off, he's being stunned up. He's being chopped down. S-Triple-C going to grab that one. Picking up an early Hurricane Pike here just to help with some kiting against the Ursa. I think maybe get himself out of a shrapnel from the sniper as well. And speaking of shrapnel, DXM going to have to lay some down to defend this mid tower. He will do so, but the Shadow Fiend still hits pretty hard. The Glyph's being forced. 6 seconds to the Ricky respawn. Pudge waiting up on the high ground. They're going to jump in. They've got the Blink, dual, global, everything thrown on the Ursa. that will be an easy win for KP as he notches himself up to 44 dual victory damage, 10 int as well for Silencer for good measure. And now with Ursa dead, what can they really do? One hit on the tower. No deny. Fate's gonna grab it. Looks like he might end up dropping to the assassinate. So, I mean, a little bit of a turnaround for VG.P, but losing the Ursa was big. That is the most farmed hero on the VG.P side. KP once again going to be going back for the Midas, so feeling confident with their ability to just play the long game. And it is going to be a long game. You're trying to push into a sniper. It's always going to be at least somewhat difficult. So I don't mind this decision. Just kind of... I don't want to say he's autopiloting his build, because I don't think that's necessarily the case, but changing your build too much can make you very uncomfortable with the hero that you're playing, because you think you're stronger than you are, or you know, you think your late game is better than it's going to be. So there is something to be said for kind of just going the same build game after game and not making too many adjustments. U9 gonna keep on farming. He's got his blink now. Still #1 on net worth. Are they going to try for this year? I mean, they've got an Epicenter, but it's only level 1. Oh. Step in. Alright, they've got the silence. Can they get this Sven out of here? No, no chance. Nice 3-man gank. U9 pushing up a little bit too far. And down he goes. Actually, how much gold did they get for that kill? That was... pretty big swing, 1k swing off of just a single pick off. Are they going to go for Roche at any point? Global's still on cooldown for now, but that's only for another couple of seconds. Sven dead for 30. Ghost does manage to blink his way in. Couple of pings from the Riki. I think this is what they were missing the previous game. It wasn't that the decision to go Roche was bad, it was that the decision not to have their teammates nearby was bad. Ghost is losing health pretty quickly, Hook. Once again, is going to end up missing. Alright. But Ghost pops the ulti and very quickly claims it. That's Triple C, just working on BKB. Sven going for BKB. Sniper going for his Mjolnir. His damage is gonna peak pretty nicely once he picks that up. Sand King also going back for a Midas here. I think not a terrible idea. Again, similar story against the... well, similar story for the Legion. This game's probably gonna go for, at least for a little while. Silencer's in big trouble. Assassinate will not be enough to finish him off, however, and Ursa, even with the Aegis, having popped his ulti, is going to be a little bit more careful. Alright, U9. Not feeling completely safe to go and hit those creeps down bottom. Just going to detour into the jungle for a second. I mean, everybody has backed off the map from VG.P, and with this Aegis, they are very keen to go and get some kind of a gank going. So Ghost's going to lead the way. The scan, unfortunately for them, does end up missing, but a couple of Newbee heroes flashing down bottom means that they will just set their sights on that lane to try and push it out. And Newbee hanging a long way back. Their lane's in a decent position, and actually shoving bottom looks like that's going to be enough to kind of sniff out this smoke. Pudge is just going for a hood here. There is quite a bit of magical damage on the VG.P side, especially AoE magical damage between the Crystal Maiden and the Sand King. So Hype definitely not a bad choice at all this game. Ghost eyeing up the Pudge here, gonna jump in. Will he be able to get the dismember off? No, just gets obliterated in 4 or 5 shots. As Newbee will just continue trying to make some space with Faith. Trying to plant this ward on the high ground, but he's actually just sitting right on top of an observer. He puts down an observer of his own. He pops the global, but Sand King's already jumped him. Ghost jumps in at the last second to finish off the kill, and they're going to be able to get the free D ward a little bit later on. And with no global, KP's initiation all of a sudden looking much less secure. This is tough.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Does Shadow Fiend have his BKB?
Radiant's
Yes, he
top tower is
does.
under attack.
Working on a butterfly now. It's gonna take him a while. He's only got 400 gold to his name. Crystal Maiden just working on a Force Staff.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Who is buying the Solar Crest for the Dire team, or are they gonna have no Solar Crest this game? Sansa's actually just going for a Force Staff instead. Sniper just gonna peep this tower. SCCC gonna try for the deny. He gets it.
Dire's middle tower has been denied.
Alright, so Newbee just trying to stall out this Aegis if they can, which it looks like they should be able to. It does cost them a couple of buildings. When's it actually down? Another minute and a half. So I'm probably expecting a smoke from Newbee around that time. They'll have their global back up, they'll have their 2 BKBs. It's as good a time as any to take a fight. But just continuing to play as a team right now. They are getting scouted out by this Radiant Observer Ward up here. They have a sentry, but unfortunately no vision, so won't be able to get rid of it.
Radiant's
And it's
bottom
actually
tower
yet another
is under
smoke from the
attack.
Radiant team.
Radiant
Ricky is
structures
not
are
there.
fortified.
Doesn't have a TP scroll either, so this is going to be a 4v5 no matter how you look at it. Of course, there are 2 lives
Radiant's bottom
on
tower
Ghost,
has
but I
fallen.
feel as though if he goes down once, actually maybe he doesn't go down twice. It all depends on whether or not the sniper survives. They lose the tier 1. Aegis still up for 30 seconds or
Radiant's
so,
bottom
but
tower is under attack.
VG.P looks like they're just not keen to take their fight without the Ricky. I don't know what Ricky was doing. Looks like maybe he was farming or going to grab a bounty rune or something, but I think he cost his team a pretty big opportunity there. And with Aegis going down in just a couple of seconds, this could be a treacherous situation for Ghost, but instead they're going to jump in. They managed to find the Sand King. They popped the global for that. They finish him off quickly with the duel, and now they set their sights on this tier 2, and with all of this right-click damage, they're just going to clean it up in a matter of seconds. VG.P are
Radiant's
playing...
bottom tower has fallen.
They're playing really scared. They were scared to go for the Roche, now they're scared to fight when they have the Aegis. I feel like in a lot of ways they're just letting Newbee walk all over them. We're pretty much even on the net worth. A little bit of an experience lead in Newbee's favor, but
Dire's top tower is under attack.
you know, when you're playing against this lineup with the silencers, you really have to be using these opportunities while global's on cooldown. But they're kind of playing to Newbee's pace of the game. Let's see. Maybe they're out of smokes now. They just used like 2 smokes back to back, so it could be that they have none left. Newbee did put down a couple of wards on their expedition down into the Radiant jungle, but not too many. I think they should still have a couple in stock, unless they've been getting dewarded pretty heavily. Ricky. Alright. Snipes the bounty, and looks like he should be... Oh, Ricky. He gave himself away. He thought Sven was blinking on him. Oh, man. Sven was just blinking for the camp. CM also went back for a Midas, didn't catch that. So what's our total Midas count this game? 3 Midases, 2 on the Radiant, 1 on the Dire. KP, what's his next item going to be? He's going for the Solar Crest. Alright, we can't have a game this patch without 2 Solar Crests, 1 on each team. Ghost has his BKB up now. Alright, is this going to be the secret to being a little bit more manly and trying to take these fights? They've got the Shadow Fiend hitting. They've got the Pudge ready to hook him out in case anything goes awry. Legion Commander moving into position as well, so they'll have the Press the Attack ready to help out against a Blink Burrow Strike or similar nonsense. And we got a Dire Scan and a Radiant Scan thrown out. They know that the Dire Heroes are still just waiting over here. It's not really a fake back from Newbee. Looks like they are just going to sound the full retreat. Solar Crest getting delivered. KP got to get that Midas on cooldown. Alright, nice. Alright, when's Roche? Potential Roche on respawn in about 45 seconds time. SCCC still working on this butterfly. I thought he might have a little bit more progress towards it, but you see the way that Newbee are playing, they're kind of deathballing around and not giving VG.P any opportunities to find pickoffs. I think what they're really doing is not giving the Ricky any opportunities to scout a hero, you know, pushing a little bit too far up and getting a pick off that way. So, alright, what's Sniper got? He's picked up his Hurricane Pike. I think more damage is really just the name of the game. I don't think a Lincoln's is really going to do anything helpful or anything like that. They're going to jump in. Ghost, they're looking for the silencer. They got the 3-man burst strike and the silencers down. The BKBs are going to end up being pop-up. Ghost, he's got his ultimate and his BKB. They're controlling the Legion Commander. They finished off the CM, but they should be able to chase down these cores. KP finished off. Jumping up onto the high ground, U9 does manage to blink away, but SRF is still on the chase. Burrow is not going to catch anyone, but the Yules will, and now Ghost should be able to keep the control. They've got the Force Staff. Will he be able to get the blink off? SRF chasing in very deep, but SCCC with the raises will be able to push him back. Ends up being a 3-for-1. Global did not get off that fight, so amazing initiation from VG.P. Did they? Oh, they had this ward the whole time. Damn. So that ward single-handedly set up this triple burrow into the smoke screen, into the silencer and the Pudge, both doing absolutely nothing. And now they've got yet another initiation. Shadowfiend will be able to force staff himself a little bit further out. They've got the stun. No way that SF survives. He will get finished off as the sniper now comes in with a haste rune. They will dismember over onto the Ursa. Force staff, well, it was helpful for kiting both directions in these fights. Ghost will end up surviving because of that one. I think that was, what, looks like Sniper helping him out there. Legion thinking about making something happen, but no real opportunity. Alright. Not a long Roshan respawn. It's actually going to be up in about 20 seconds time. No scouting on the pit for either team right now. If VG.P knew about this, maybe they could force the SF buyback or something like that.
I'll take your
It's only 30 seconds. Global's still down for 90, actually.
That's exact.
Alright, what else? Sinking, going back for an Ags now. Sniper just gonna be going for an MKB. Crystal Maiden has a Force Staff. Ricky went for the Yasha first, now going back for the Diffusal. Could do with some more Diffusal charges since Ghost is already on his Diffusal 2 at this point, but alright, they jump in. They scout the Roche. They've got a hook, meanwhile, over onto the Ricky, finishing him off, but Fade does manage to get into the ultimate. They jump in. They've got the duel on the back lines. It's onto the Sniper. Can they finish him off? Another stun coming in. Will they get the cleave? The hook from the Pudge finishes that kill. Ghost now going toe-to-toe with the Sven, but his BKB and his ultimate have both been used. Bad Roshan decisions have been VG.P's curse this series, and it looks like this is going to be yet another one. A hook from Kaka. He's found his eye at this point. They will end up losing 2, but they claim 4 kills, and it looks like they might even be able to get in here and claim the Roshan. Sand King's waiting up on the high ground. Is he gonna try and steal it? I don't think he has no idea what's really happening. They got a Radiant scan going on. Sand King? Oh, maybe? Alright. Roshan down. Ages for the Shadowfiend. Sand King still just scouting up here. Getting some information for his team. But what he sees is not a pretty sight for the Radiant. Shadowfiend's getting bigger. The Sven is now working in towards a Bloodthorn, and worse is still yet to come because he has 4k net worth on top of the Crystallis, so Bloodthorn not too far away. Shadowfiend 800 gold away from his Butterfly. Sniper, however, a very long way away from his Monkey King bar, so that's gonna be tough. Especially, they're just gonna sit there and they're gonna have the Shadowfiend in the front, and he's gonna be solar crested, and he's gonna have press the attack ready to protect him, and he's gonna have hook ready to protect him, and like 2 different Force Stabs. Well, I was about to say 2 different Force Stabs, but Faith is actually dirt poor. His net worth is barely a Force Staff, so. But yeah, they got Force Staff from Pudge, they got Hook from Pudge, they got the Dispel from the Legion. It's going to be very, very difficult to go under the Shadowfiend. And I think if SCCC wants, he can even just look towards like a Satanic as his next item, or maybe even a Scotty. Tank up a little bit more, just be that little bit more difficult to burst, and really be that frontliner for your team. Sand King in some trouble. Used his Blink to get in here, and the Burrow Strike. Looks like he might just get brought down for free. Burrow is going to come off cooldown in time. It will not. Nicely timed hook there from Kaka. VG.P really just falling apart at the seams, it looks like. Ursa once again gonna show bottom, try and farm up. Newbee under really no pressure whatsoever. We'll see. Maybe the sniper high ground defense will be enough to hold out against this Shadow Fiend led siege from Newbee, but I'm not sure. Especially once he gets his 150 attack range. This is some disrespectful positioning. When your Pudge is pushing a building, you know that Newbee just feel so far ahead right now. Jump in. Ooh, nice little sandstorm dodge from the Sand King. He's in pretty deep, but does manage to blink himself a little bit further away. Pudge in very deep. All right, I think perhaps realizing that was a slightly compromising position. So Kakai just gonna back up, and the sniper will be able to go to work. But what? Age is still up for a little while. They've used to press the attack. Could be a little bit difficult. They can't get the Shadow Fiend out of this too quickly, but they will jump in. They get the duel onto the Sand King. They burst him down immediately. Ghost looking for the silencer, but he's just going to get dismembered, wasting some BKB duration. Buyback from the SK. What can they get done? They're slowing up the Shadow Fiend here. Assassinate also thrown out. First strike comes through, but it only catches one, and that's just the Aegis. However, Sven also caught in the smoke screen and will be brought down. Shadow Fiend able to blink his way up onto the high ground, but silencer, no such luck for him, as he will get auto attack down. They lost the Legion in that fight as well. As Triple C looks like he will be able to make his way out safely. They got the tier 3, so that's going to pave the way for Shrines. They also got the buyback out of the Sand King and the oh no, not the Riki. Yeah, just the Sand King buyback. Good hold for the Radiant, but I think Newbie's still pretty happy with that trade overall. VG.P just really have to figure out how they can exert some more control over the Roshan, because that's really been the issue for them. Alright, Ursa, I'm getting somewhat close to his MKB. Does Sniper almost have his? Also getting pretty close. Pretty big damage spike there. Sven, likely to go for an AC next, perhaps? I think Legion would normally go for it, but she's still working on a BKB right now to help deal with the smoke screen. And SK, despite the buyback, still getting pretty close to his Aghanim Scepter. And AO going to be going for what looks like a Rod of Atos. I mean, decent at kiting the... I guess it's pretty good at kiting the Sven. I don't know about the Legion necessarily, but I guess a little bit more catch doesn't go amiss, since it is pretty much just Sand King for catch. I guess they've got, Ursa can blink and diffusal and whatnot. But what are we doing here? We're going to push out mid for Newbee. Smoke ready to go. Global ready to go in a couple of seconds' time. And I think they're pretty keen to just get the Sand King. And like I said, Sand King's the catch, so if they get rid of him, they can siege without really being too worried, because they can always kind of disengage. Looks like instead they're going to be running into the Crystal Maiden, who will die very, very quickly. They get the dual win as well, just for good measure.
That was foolish of you.
At least it's information for VG.P to shove out bottom lane, but it looks like it will just end up being a trade. Everybody on Newbee, other than the Shadow Fiend, is going to just stay back in the fog, make it so that it's not clear at all if anyone's coming to try and contest. Nice positioning from Riki, scouting the shrine, making sure that there's no one coming back. And what are we doing here? We're going high ground. So they're going to switch over towards top lane. The shrapnel's already been used mid, though he does still have one more charge in reserve. Wait, was that Radiant Courier dying with MKB components? Oh no. That's not good. At least Ghost has his MKB, but Sniper not going to have his for a full 3 minutes now. Newbee not going to be going for the YOLO racks. We'll instead just take the shrine. This bottom shrine's already gone. Fade wants a bit of a rebuttal here to grab the courier himself. Won't get it. Alright. Alright, Crystal Maiden settling in for the long haul. Picks up the 120 GPM. Should help her get to that Atos a little bit faster. Shadow Fiend did end up going for the Satanic, just kind of tanking up. The smokescreen could make that a little bit more difficult to utilize effectively, but probably get MKB next. Or if he's hitting the Bloodthorn target, then it's not going to matter. What's happening over here? Some illusions. Does anyone have a gem? 40 minutes in. Yeah, we do have a gem over on the Pudge. Looks like he's had that for just a little bit. But Roshan, potential respawn in 35 seconds time. And it looks like Newbee, for the most part, content to just wait for that while continuing to farm up items. Sven is going to be going for the AC. Legion has their BKB completed, so we'll see what the next item decision will be soon. And VG.P kind of getting hemmed into their base by a couple of very nicely planted Dire Observer wards with no wards whatsoever on the map for themselves right now. Fortunately, they have the Rookie to scout, but